Hi, welcome to Virtual CB1A. This is Miss Rena, and for today's video discussion, we're going to talk about trigonometric functions of any angle. Let's start. So to define the trigonometric functions of any angle, including angles less than 0 degrees or greater than 300 degrees, we need a more general definition of an angle. So take note that this time, hindi na tayo limited with just acute angles, right angles, obtuse angles, and straight angle. Meron na rin tayong mga negative angles. And also, meron na tayong mga angles that is greater than 360 degrees. If you recall from your basic geometry, pag nakabuo ka ng isang buong revolution, that is 360 degrees, makakabuo ka ng isang circle. This time, meron na tayong mga mabubuong angles na coil-like. So, these are angles that are greater than 360 degrees. So, meron na tayong mga negative, less than 0, at saka greater than 360 degrees. We say that an angle is formed by rotating a ray OA about the endpoint O, called the vertex. So let us look at this graph. So meron tayong ray OA. This is the initial side. Para siyang hand ng clock na lumilipat over a certain period of time. Di ba yung gitna ng clock, doon naka-attach yung hand. And then, the hand of the clock will change its position over a certain period of time. Hindi madadagdagan yung hand, pero lilipat siya ng position. Ganon din yung mga angles natin ngayon. So, meron tayong initial side or yung original position niya, and then the ending position is the terminal side. Is it clear? I hope it is. So, yung endpoint natin, that is called the vertex. So that the ray is in a new position, denoted by the ray OB, which is the terminal side. So the ray OA is called the initial side of the angle, and OB is the terminal side of the angle. Now, na-mention natin kanina, meron tayong positive angles at saka negative angles. So, paano tayo nakakabuo ng positive at paano tayo nakakabuo ng negative? So, it is all about the direction of the movement of your initial side papunta sa terminal side. Sabi natin kanina, i-consider natin siya na parang hand ng clock. So, kung ang paglipat niya ay clockwise ang direction para talagang orasan, clockwise, that is negative. Tapos kapag counterclockwise naman, pabaligtad, that is positive. So, wag kayong mako-confuse dun ha. Again, kapag clockwise, it is negative. Pag counterclockwise, it is positive. Gawa tayo ng mga example. Dito na lang, wag na tayong lumayo. Si ray AOB or si angle AOB made from ray OA at saka ray OB. So, this is the initial side, si OA. Si initial side OA, pumunta siya doon sa terminal side, ray OB. Kung ang movement niya ay counterclockwise, ang susukatin natin ay itong nasa loob, yung obtuse angle. For example, this is about 120 degrees. I-approximate natin siya, 120 degrees. This is positive. Pero kung ang kukunin mo, itong nasa labas, yun na dun sa exterior, this is a reflex angle. So, kapag ka sinabi nating greater than 180, but less than 360, that is a reflexive angle. So, the reflexive angle here, yung difference from 360 and 120, so about 240 degrees siya. 240 degrees. This is negative. Kasi ang direction niya ay clockwise. So, I hope that was clear. Again, the 120-degree angle that I inputted here is just an approximation. So let's continue to the other slide. So we denote the angle formed by this rotation AOB or simply O or even just O. If the rotation is counterclockwise, then we say that the angle is positive and the angle is negative if the rotation is clockwise, as I've explained earlier. So one full counterclockwise rotation of OA back onto itself is called a revolution so that the terminal side coincides with the initial side. So kung makakabuo ka ng isang buong circle, ito yung initial side natin, nakabuo ka ng isang revolution such that your initial side will also coincide with your terminal side, or your terminal side will coincide with your initial side. Then it is equal to 360 degrees. Kung ang direction mo ay counterclockwise. Pero kung ang direction mo ay clockwise, ganito, then it is negative. So ito yung positive, nasa baba yung arrow natin. Kasi pag ganito yung ikot niya, counterclockwise. Tapos ito naman, nasa taas yung arrow natin, arrowhead. Kasi ang direction niya ay clockwise. This is negative. So, not rotating OA constitutes an angle of 0. Meron na rin tayo ngayong angle na 0. Yun yung hindi gumalaw sa initial side at all. Nagko-coincide si terminal side and initial side dahil hindi gumalaw sa initial side. More than one full rotation creates an angle greater than 360. As I've mentioned earlier, magkakaroon na tayo ng mga coil-like. So, gawin natin itong nasa figure 1.4.2, angle greater than 360. As we mentioned earlier, pagka counterclockwise, you will create a positive angle. So, isang buong complete revolution, this is the initial side. Ayan. Ito si 360 degrees. May putal. 390 daw. What is 390 divided by 360? You will get 1, remainder 30. So, yung remainder mo na 30, that is what you're going to add in order to get the representation of your angle greater than 360. So, meron kang putal na 30 degrees dito. So, magmo-move ulit si terminal side ng 30 degrees counterclockwise. So, all in all, this is 390 degrees. Ito siya. Okay? So, I hope that was clear. We can now define the trigonometric functions of any angle in terms of the Cartesian coordinates. So, sana tanda pa po kung paano mag-plot ng point sa Cartesian coordinate plane. Recall that the xy coordinate plane consists of points denoted by pairs xy of real numbers. The first number x is the point's x coordinate. So, lahat ng nandito sa vertical line ay y, lahat ng nandito sa horizontal line ay x. And the second number y is the y coordinate. The x and y coordinates are measured by their positions along the x-axis and y-axis respectively. Gawan natin ang mga samples dito. Bakit ito tinawag na 0.23? So, sa x, it is at 2. Sa y, it is at 3. So, from 0, we have 1, 2. From 0 sa vertical line, we have 1, 2, 3. So, gawa tayo ng rectangular coordinate. Nandito daw siya, tsaka nandito. So, drawing tayo ng mga lines parallel to the x-axis and the y-axis. Yung point of intersection of the lines parallel to x and y, yun yung magiging coordinate nung point mo. So, dito sila nagtagpo. Therefore, this is 2, 3. Ganon din pagdating dito sa negative 3, 2. So, that is at 1, 2, 3. Negative 3 sa x. Drawing tayo ng line. Parallel to the y-axis. Tapos 2 daw sa y. So, ito yung 2 sa y. Drawing tayo ng line parallel to 2. Ayan. So, ito yung point of intersection nila. Therefore, this is coordinate negative 3, 2. So, syempre, pag sanay na kayo kung paano paano mag-plot ng points on the Cartesian coordinate plane, you can disregard these imaginary lines. Pwede mo na siyang tanggalin. Magsasettle na lang tayo dun sa points. Practice kayo lagi kung paano mag-plot ng points kasi mahalaga yon. So the x and y coordinates are measured by their positions along the x-axis and y-axis respectively, which determines the point's position in the plane. This divides the xy coordinate plane into 4 quadrants, denoted by quadrant 1, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, based on the signs of x and y. So ang position natin ng pagpapangalan ng quadrant ay pa-counterclockwise din. You will start with positive x and positive y. That is the first quadrant. Counterclockwise tayo. Dito na tayo sa susunod, quadrant 2. These are negative x and positive y. Counterclockwise ulit. Dito na tayo sa quadrant 3. These are negative x and negative y. Kaya siya x is less than 0, y is less than 0. And quadrant 4, that is positive na si x at negative naman si y. So these are the coordinates that you will expect for each quadrant. Sa quadrant 1, expect that the x-coordinate is positive and the y-coordinate is also positive. Quadrant 2, x-coordinate is negative, y-coordinate is positive, and so on. Ito siya. Let's continue to the next slide. Now, let theta, yan, nagamit na ulit tayo ng mga Greek letters. So, this is called theta. May cheat sheet tayo dun sa preliminary chapter ng book na isinend ko sa inyo. Pakitingnan dun yung table ng mga pangalan ng Greek letters. So, this is theta. Let theta be any angle. We say that theta is in standard position if its initial side is the positive x-axis and its vertex is at the origin 0, such as this. If your initial side, gawin natin siyang red para mas visible. If your initial side is the positive x-axis and your vertex is at the origin, we say that your angle is in standard position. To give you a more definite example, tingnan natin yung mga hindi nasa standard position. Lagay tayo ng ganito. This is the initial side. Nasa positive x-axis din siya. And this is the terminal side. If you will take notice, the vertex is not at the origin. Ito yung vertex niya. So this is not an angle in standard position. So, hindi ito valid na angle in standard position. Okay? Gawa tayo ng isa pang example. Hindi ulit angle in standard position. So, naglalagay tayo ng counter-example dito para mas maintindihan nyo kung ano yung tama at saka kung ano yung mali. So, meron tayong isa pang angle. Ito si initial side. Ito si terminal side. So, the vertex is at the origin, but the initial side is not in the positive x-axis. So again, this is not an angle in standard position. Gawa tayo dito ng isang angle in standard position. Ito ang initial side. Ito ang terminal side. So this is an angle in standard position. Same as this one. Pareha silang angle in standard position since the initial side is in the positive x-axis and the vertex is at the origin. Si terminal side, kahit saan yan pumesto. Kahit nasa quadrant 1 yan, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4, okay lang. Pwede nga na nandito rin siya sa mga axis. As long as your initial side is in the positive x-axis and your vertex is at the origin, that is an angle in standard position. Okay? Ito lang ang titingnan. Positive x-axis at saka vertex is at the origin. So, I hope that was clear. Since nakapag-plot na tayo ng angles in standard position, ayan, kung meron kang terminal side, pwede kang magkaroon ng length ng radius. So, kung meron kang xy point, any point on the terminal side, magkakaroon ka ng radius na r. And, using the distance formula, sulat ko lang siya dito. Ay, sorry. Ay, ba't nabubura siya ng ganito? Explain ko lang kung saan galing yung formula ni R. Kasi hindi siya defined dito. Though in your geometry, I believe this is also included. So, ang distance formula natin, kung meron kang x sub 1 at saka y sub 1, this is your point 1, at saka meron kang point 2 that has the coordinates x sub 2 and y sub 2, pwede mong kunin yung distance between point sub 1 and point sub 2. And that is equal to the square root of x sub 2 minus x sub 1 squared plus y sub 2 minus y sub 1 squared. In terms of this one, since your origin is at 0, 0, pwede mo siyang iset as this is x sub 1, y sub 1. This is x sub 2, y sub 2. So, to get the distance r, yung length from 0, 0 to xy, substitute lang natin siya. Meron kang x sub 2 minus 0 squared plus y sub 2 minus 0 squared. Giving you r is equal to x sub 2 squared or x squared na lang. This is the value of x sub 2, x. At saka y sub 2, which is y squared. So, dito siya nanggaling. So, if you already have the value for x, y, and r, madedefine na natin yung 6 trigonometric function values of the angle with coordinates at xy for the terminal side. Ito yung table natin for the trigonometric function values. Ayan. Sine theta, y over r, cosine theta, r over y, cosine theta, cosecant theta r over y, cosine theta x over r, secant theta r over x, tangent theta y over x, cotangent theta x over y. Ngayon, baka nagtataka kayo, bakit nakuha yung y, r? Eh, di ba opposite over hypotenuse to? Ito naman, adjacent over hypotenuse. So, dito nanggaling yung derivation natin. Balikan natin itong graph natin dito. Burahin ko lang yung distance formula natin. Ayan. So, kung magkakaroon ka dito ng x, y, tapos may length ka dito ng r, actually makakapag-create ka ng isang right triangle by drawing a line perpendicular with your x-axis. So this is your right angle. Okay? So this is your theta, right? But you will be able to get what we call the reference angle. We are going to tackle it later on so that mas maiintindihan kung bakit instead of getting uh, or considering this as the angle, bakit itong isa yung kino-consider natin as the angle. So you are going to end up with the length x at saka yung height niya na y. So, the opposite of this angle, so kung ito yung theta natin, actually, pwede rin natin itong i-consider as theta, the reference angle. So, sine theta is y, the opposite. Tapos, si cosine theta naman is x, the adjacent, over the hypotenuse. So, x is the adjacent, tapos y is the opposite. And then, of course, r is the hypotenuse. Ayan. So, to give you an even better example, gawa tayo ng isang angle na hindi muna gagamit ng ibang reference angle aside from itself. For example, nandito lang yung, mag-plot tayo ng 3, 4, for example. Ito siya. So, our point is at 3, 4. Drawing tayo ng line. Ayan. So, our r is the length from the origin to the point 3, 4. What is x? What is y? So, if you are going to draw a line perpendicular with the x-axis, ito siya. Ang magiging angle under consideration natin is this acute angle. Let's call this theta. So, the trigonometric function values of theta will be sine theta opposite over the hypotenuse. What is the opposite of theta? It is the height of the triangle. So, gaano ito kahaba? It is 1 unit, 2 unit, 3 unit, 4 unit, or simply kung ano yung coordinate mo ng y. So, this is of length 4. So, that is we have 4 over the hypotenuse. We don't know the value of the hypotenuse yet. Punta muna tayo kay cosine. Tapos, after natin makuha si cosine, adjacent, yung taas lang, saka natin i-compute si hypotenuse. So, ang adjacent naman with respect to theta is this side. So, we have 1, 2, 3. 3 units siya. Or simply your x coordinate. So, we have 3 over the hypotenuse. Let's compute for the hypotenuse now. Anong gagamitin natin? Lagi natin siyang dinidiscuss. We are going to use the Pythagorean Theorem. That is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. So, meron tayong dalawang legs, 3 at 4. And then, opposite your right angle, ito yung right angle natin, is the longest side, which is the hypotenuse r. So, we have here 3 squared plus 4 squared is equal to r squared. Di natin alam kung ano yung radius r niya. Next, we have 9 plus 16 is equal to r squared. You will end up with 25 is equal to r squared. To get the value of r, get the square root of both sides. 5 is equal to r. So, the hypotenuse here is 5. So, meron tayo ditong 5, 5. And of course, for the tangent, theta, we have opposite over the adjacent, which is 4 over 3. So, I hope that was clear. Kung ang meron lang sa inyo ay point on the terminal side, hindi nyo na kailangang construct ng triangle. Ang kailangan nyo lang ay yung length between the 2 points. All you have to do is to consider x as your adjacent and y as your opposite side. Yan. Kaya tayo nakabuo ng mga ganitong trigonometric function values. Y is the opposite. X is the adjacent. And R is the hypotenuse. Okay? Okay, that's good. So, as in the acute case, by the use of similar triangles, these definitions are well defined. They do not depend on which point xy we choose on the terminal side of theta. Also notice that sine theta, the absolute value of sine theta is less than or equal to 1, and the absolute value of cosine theta is less than or equal to 1, since y is less than or equal to r and x is less than or equal to r. So, bakit sinasabi yung ganito? Sabi natin, di ba, similar triangles always have the same trigonometric function values for their corresponding angles. Kung magkakaroon ka dito ng triangles na ang radius ay 5, tapos meron kang isang triangle na ang radius lang niya ay 1, pero parehas sila na nandun sa terminal side, these two will end up having the same trigonometric function values since they are similar triangles. So, kung i-disregard natin si r because r is equal to 1, your sine will just be equal to y, and your cosine will just be equal to x, and your tangent will just be equal to y over x. You will encounter cases such as this kapag ka ang radius ninyo ay equal lang sa 1. Pwede natin siyang gamitin since similar triangles always have the same trigonometric function values for their corresponding angles. Ayan. So, notice that in the case of an acute angle, these definitions are equivalent to our earlier definitions in terms of right triangles. Draw a right triangle with angle theta such that the adjacent side is equal to y and adjacent side is equal to x, opposite side is equal to y, and r is the hypotenuse. For example, this will give us sine theta is equal to y over r, opposite over hypotenuse, and cosine theta is equal to x over r, adjacent over hypotenuse. Just as before, ayan, na-discuss na natin siya kanina. Now, pwede tayong gumawa ng mga special markings dun sa ating Cartesian coordinate plane. So, lahat ng mga angle na 0 degrees ay nandito lang sa positive x-axis. Tapos, lahat ng equal to 90 degrees, nandito lang sa positive y-axis. Lahat ng angle na equal sa 180 degrees ay nasa negative x-axis at lahat ng angle na equal sa 270 degrees ay nasa negative y-axis. Yun yung mga angles, 1, 2, 3, 4, that will coincide with your axis. At saka yung mga multiples nila, dyan din magko-coincide. Pag sinabi nating multiple, say for example, multiple of 90, anything that can be divided by 90, ay periodic nga pala to. Mamaya natin siya i-discuss. Pala. So, para hindi tayo malito. So, anything that is a multiple of 90 will end up on one of its axis. Tapos mamaya, tingnan natin kung ano yung period bago siya bumalik dito sa mga axis na to. Ano-ano yung mga may coterminal sides. Now, let's talk about the angles that has the terminal sides lying on quadrant 1. So, these are the angles between 0 to 90. Yan yung mga 30, 45, 60, 59, 89. Yan. Lahat sila nandito. I-expect mo nandito sila sa quadrant 1. Tapos, from 91 to 179, between 90 and 180, but not including 90 and 180, nandito sila. 91, 95, 160, 170. Lahat sila nandito. And for quadrant 3, between 180 and 270. Quadrant 4, between 270 and 360. Ayan. So, kapag na-define mo na kung saan maglalay yung terminal side mo on the Cartesian coordinate plane, pwede ka nang mag-assume ng magiging sign ng mga trigonometric function values mo. So, kung nandito, ang iyong terminal side, halimbawa, ganyan, you can expect that all of the 6 trigonometric functions are positive. Kung nandito naman ang iyong terminal side, your sine is positive, your cosine is negative, your tangent is negative, your cosecant is positive, your secant is negative, and your cotangent is negative. Why? So, sabi natin, di ba, ang x mo will be your cosine, and your y will be your sine. Or, your x is the adjacent, and your y is your opposite. Kung meron kang sine, this is your r. The distance is always positive. Hindi po tayo nagkakaroon ng distance na negative. So, r is always positive. Your sine will be y over r. And since your y is positive, you can expect your trigonometric function value sine positive. Pagdating naman sa cosine, since the coordinate here for x is negative, so negative na si x, pero positive ang iyong hypotenuse na r, so all of the trigonometric function value cosine will be negative. So, kaya siya negative dito. And of course, si tangent, since ang numerator niya ay opposite, tapos ang denominator niya ay si adjacent, meron kang positive divided by negative. Rule natin sa division, unlike signs, negative yun. So, ang quotient niya is negative. Ayan. Tapos, since reciprocal ni cosecant si sine ay positive, positive pa rin. Reciprocal ni cosine ay si secant, negative si cosine, negative din si secant. Reciprocal ni cotangent ay si tangent, negative si tangent, negative din si cotangent. And you will follow the same rule for the rest of the quadrant, si quadrant 3 tsaka si quadrant 4. Dito ay negative si x, negative din si y. Dito naman ay positive si x, negative si y. Kaya si sine ang negative dito, tapos si cosine ang positive. I hope that was clear. Move tayo. Find the exact values of all 6 trigonometric functions of 120 degrees. Parang nag-move tayo kaagad. Ayan. Before natin sagutan yung nandito, yung 120 degrees, discuss muna natin tong slide na to. Kasi dapat na-discuss muna to. Kamali ako ng paste. Na-discuss muna to before tayo mag-plot. So, since 360 represents one full revolution, the trigonometric function values repeat every 360 degrees. For example, sine 360 degrees is equal to sine 0. Sabi natin kanina, pag hindi nag-move, ang initial side, 0 yon. So, ito yung terminal side niya. This is 0 degrees. And this will coincide with the one na nag-move. Nakabuo ng isang complete na revolution, 360 degrees. Parehas sila na maglalay ang terminal side on the positive x-axis. So, if you have two angles with the same terminal side, we call them coterminal angles. Ito. So we saw how the values of trigonometric functions of an angle theta larger than 90 were found by using a certain acute angle as part of a right triangle. So that acute angle has a special name. If theta is a non-acute angle, then we say that the reference angle for theta is the acute angle formed by the terminal side of theta and either the positive or negative x-axis. So, puntahan natin itong 120 degrees na sinasabi natin dito. Construct tayo ng angle. Lagay lang ako dito ng protractor. Masyado nang mahaba yung lesson natin, no? Pero kailangan kasi natin siya i-discuss. Optional naman kung papanoorin nyo to. Kasi may module naman kayo. Ayan. Gamit tayo ng protractor. Gawin natin siya. Ba to? 3. Ay, teka. 0 na lang. 0. Yan. So, ito ay i-plot lang natin dito. Ayan. Tapos, i-drawing natin kung nasaan si 120. Parang kailangan ko siyang palakihin. Lalakihin ko muna siya. Bakit ayaw niya lumaki? Ayan. So, napalaki na natin yung Cartesian coordinate plane. Na-plot na rin natin yung protractor dun sa origin. So, mark natin dito. Nandito si 120 degrees. Ayun. Nandito si 120 degrees. Yan. Tapos, move lang natin to. Drawing tayo ng line connecting the origin and 120 degrees. Tanggalin ko muna yung mga units niya dito. So, this is our angle 120 degrees. But, The trigonometric function values of 120 degrees is the same as its reference angle. So what is its reference angle? The reference angle of 120 degrees is the same as its coterminal angle and its reference angle. So meron itong reference angle na, so the angle formed by the x-axis and the terminal side. Kung ito ay 180 degrees, we have to subtract 120 out of 180. 180 minus 120 degrees, the reference angle is 60 degrees. So sine 120 degrees is the same as the sine of 60 degrees. The cosine of 120 degrees is the same as the cosine of 60 degrees, and so on. Lahat ng trigonometric function values ng 60 degrees ay kaparehas ng trigonometric function values ng 120 degrees. So, ano-ano yung trigonometric function values niya? So, si 60 ay merong sine na square root of 3 over 2. Meron siyang cosine na 1/2. Tingnan natin si 120. Parehas sila ng value for the sine. But when it comes to the cosine, why is it just 1/2? Why is it negative 1/2? Nasaan ba ang terminal side? So, this is at quadrant 2. Ang absolute value nila ay parehas, pero ang sign ay hindi. So, meron kang negative na x, positive na y. This is your adjacent. Pagdating naman dito sa y, this is your opposite. So, si cosine 120 at si cosine 60, parehas sila ng absolute value, pero magkaiba sila ng sign. Ang susundin natin ay yung sign nila kung saan sila nakalagay na quadrant. So, lahat ng sign dito ay positive, pero ang mga cosine niya ay negative at ang tangent niya ay negative. Tapos, ang reciprocal niya, cosecant, positive pa rin, secant is negative, tapos si cotangent is negative. Kompletuhin natin sila ngayon. So, sine. Ano ang sine 60? Titingin lang tayo dun sa table ng sine 60. So, meron tayong sine 60 square root of 3 over 2. Parehas sila ng magiging value. So, sine 120 degrees is square root of 3 over 2. Cosine 120 degrees, it is 1/2 pagdating sa 60. Pero pagdating dito, negative 1/2 na siya. Tangent. Ano ang tangent nila? Negative din dapat ang sign. Tingnan natin kung ano ang tangent ng 60. Square root of 3. So, pagdating sa 120, negative square root of 3. And so on, so forth. Susundin lang natin yung mga signs dito. Ayan. And this is the table of trigonometric function values derived from the special angle 0, 30, 45, 60, 90. Pagdating dito, ang 30 ay the same as 150. Ang 45 ay the same as 135. Tapos ang 60 ay the same as 120. Kasi sila yung may mga parehas na reference angles. Next, 210. Nasaan si 210? Drawing tayo ng Cartesian plane ulit. So, di ba ito si 180? Tapos ito si 270. 120 is between 210 is on the third quadrant. And it is between 180 and 270. Closer siya dito. Ito yung kailangan natin for the reference angle, the x-axis. So, subtract 180 over 210. You will get the reference angle 30. So, maglagay tayo dito ng 30-degree angle. This is now your 210-degree angle. And the reference angle is just 30 degrees. So, si 210 ay coterminal with 30 degrees at saka 150 degrees. Same sila ng trigonometric function values. 150, 30, at saka 210. Kung titingnan nyo yan, i-examine nyo yung mga laman, ang mga magkakaparehas pa ay si 225 at saka si 45, tapos si 240 and si 60. Okay? Nagkakaiba lang sila pagdating sa, what do you call this? Sine. Tapos, may mapapansin kayo dito, bakit sila undefined, undefined. So, tingnan natin si 0. Si 0, yan. Ito lang yung initial and terminal niya, 0 degrees. Hindi siya nag-move. If we are going to assume that your radius is equal to 1, then, magkakaroon ka ng x at y dito. Di ba ito yung x, kinoconsider natin as the adjacent. Tapos si y, kinoconsider natin as the opposite. So, kung magko-compute ka ng sine, your coordinates here will be 1 and 0. Tapos yung r mo is also equal to 1. So, your sine is 0 over 1 or 0. Your cosine 0 is 1 over 1, which is 1. Your tangent is 0 over 1 or 0. Tapos, si cosecant, di ba reciprocal siya ni sine? So, kung meron kang cosecant 0, magkakaroon kang 1 over 0. Eh, di ba division by 0 is not possible? So, undefined siya. Undefined. Tapos, si tangent, undefined din. Kasi magiging 1 over 0 rin siya. Ganon din pagdating dito. Sa 90, sa 180, 270. Yung mga magfo-fall dun sa x and y axis. Nagpapalit lang sila kung sino yung undefined. Kasi minsan, yung mga may values ng cosine or ng x, yun yung undefined. Lagyan nga natin ng example si 90 para mas malinaw. Para makita nyo yung contrast between 0 and 90. So, ito si 90. Ayan, ito si 0. Ito yung initial side. Ito yung terminal side. We assume that the radius, ito yung radius natin, is equal to 1. And that is the same as your opposite or your sine. So, this is the adjacent. So, cosine niya, unahin natin si sine. Ang sine niya is 1 over 1, which is 1. This is 90 pala. 90 degrees, 0 over 1 is 0. Tangent 90, 1 over 0 is undefined. Yan. Kaya ito yung mga value natin pagdating sa 90. Kung itutuloy nyo yan, babaliktarin nyo lang, kukunin nyo lang yung reciprocal, you will have 1, undefined, and 0. So, I hope that was clear. Pwede na tayo mag-move dun sa susunod na slide. Okay. Meron na tayong angle na greater than 360. So, how are we going to search for its trigonometric function value? 928. This is the easiest approach na sa tingin ko madali talagang maiintindihan. Mag-e-employ tayo ng operation na division. Wait lang ha. Prepare ko lang yung calcu natin. So, the given angle will be the one to be divided, and the divisor, nag-araw ako dito, and the divisor will be, of course, 360, yung isang revolution natin. So, how many revolutions will there be sa 928? So, 928 divided by 360, meron tayong dalawa. Tapos, kunin natin yung remainder. Hindi ko na itutuloy dito. Tuloy na nga natin. Na meron tayong 720. 928 minus 720. Meron tayong 208. So, yung remainder natin dito, 208, will be our huwag na nga tayo maglagay na Cartesian plane, drawing ko na lang. So, 208 degrees here. Our remainder will be our guiding angle sa pagko-construct. So, ito yung 360 degrees. Nakaisang revolution tayo. Isa pa. Ito yung 720 degrees. Ngayon, approximate natin gaano kalaki si 208 degrees. So, 208 degrees is between 180 and 270. As I've said before, ang guide ninyo ay yung mga nandito sa x-axis. Kasi our terminal side and x-axis will determine our reference angle. So, 208, bawasan natin siya ng 180 degrees. So, 208 minus 180 is 28 degrees. So, from 180, drawing lang tayo ng about 28 degrees. This is now your 928 degree angles. 928 degree angle. So, which angle between 0 and 360 has the same terminal side with 928? So, sagutan natin to. So, between 0 to 360, meron tayong 180 degrees plus 28. So, meron tayong 208 degrees. Yung remainder natin dito. What is the reference angle for theta? So, the reference angle for theta is the difference between 208 and the nearest x-axis. In this case, ang nearest na x-axis natin ay yung negative x-axis, which has 180 degrees. So, 208 minus 180, you will end up with 28 degrees. So, this is the answer for example 1.24. May isa pa ba? Ayan. Suppose that cosine theta is equal to negative 4 over 5. Find the exact value of sine theta and tangent theta. Gamitin natin yung knowledge natin from earlier. So, kapag ka meron kang cosine theta, that is equal to the adjacent over the hypotenuse. The adjacent is, sabi nga natin, hindi pwedeng maging negative ang iyong radius or distance, so ang negative ay mapupunta kay adjacent. Or kung meron kang adjacent and hypotenuse, this is x over r. And your x will be equal to negative 4. X is equal to negative 4. And your r will be equal to 5. Kunin natin si y. How can we find the value of y? We can find the value of y using our knowledge in Pythagorean Theorem. So, since parehas naman yung magiging triangle natin, so dito, with the one na positive ang x, susulit ko pa ba? We have a squared plus b squared is equal to r squared. So, kahit na hindi nyo isulat yung negative dito, parehas din yung magiging sagot since we are going to employ the squaring function. Substitute natin. Kahit sino dyan yung maging x, kahit si A or si B, okay lang. Basta one of the legs sila. So, meron tayo ditong x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. We have negative 4 squared plus y squared is equal to 5 squared. We have 16 plus y squared is equal to 25. Y squared is equal to 25. 25 minus 16. And we have y squared is equal to the square root of 9. Ayan. So, to get the value of y, just square both sides. We have y is equal to 3. Ayan. So, meron na tayong, kompleto na. Meron na tayong adjacent. Meron na tayong hypotenuse. At meron na tayong opposite. Yan. So, meron tayong cosine. Kunin natin si sine. Sine theta is equal to the opposite y, 3 over the hypotenuse, 5. Yan. Cosine, sine, tangent. Kay tangent naman tayo. Tangent theta. Tangent theta is equal to y over x, or the opposite over the adjacent. Y is 3. Adjacent is 4. Ang dali na nung tatlo pa kasi kunin lang natin yung reciprocal nila. Do not forget the sign nga pala. So, it should be negative 3 over 4. Muntik ako na siyang makalimutan. Punta tayo kay reciprocal nitong cosine ay secant. Secant theta. This is r over x, which is 5 over negative 4 or negative 5 over 4. Reciprocal ni sine, cosecant. Cosecant theta is 3 over 5. And then cotangent, baligtarin natin si tangent. Cotangent theta is negative 4 over 3. So, this is the complete list for the trigonometric function values of the angle theta with cosine theta is equal to negative 4 over 5. Kung gusto niyo siyang i-drawing sa Cartesian plane, ganito siya. Plot natin si x, negative 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ito yung negative 4. Plot natin si y. 1, 2, 3. Ito si 3. So, ito yung negative 4, 3. Tapos, ito yung kanyang r, which is equal to 5. Okay? So, I hope everything is clear. Last na tayo. For an angle theta in standard position and the point xy on its terminal side, sine theta has the same sign as y, cosine theta has the same sign as x, tangent theta is positive when x and y have the same sign, and tangent theta is negative when x and y have opposite signs. So thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions, if you need more examples, hindi ko mapapromise na mabibigay ko kaagad ha. But please feel free to approach me. Mag-send kayo sa akin ng message via this platform, Google Classroom. Or pwede rin naman na mag-send kayo ng email. Thank you very much and see you next time. Bye!